guys, Virginia here, and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today, and this one's for the Kitaholic Kits design team using the gorgeous Make Kits. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different for this layout and not use a cut file. And I am actually in the process of packing up my craft room, and I came across my We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. I think this is probably my most used and favourite We Are Memory Keepers crafty tool that I've got. And I actually didn't spend a fortune on it. I think I found it on clearance for like $5 somewhere, but that just goes to show. So I thought I'd use it for this layout, and the photos I've got, they are of a little garden that I made, not the house we're currently at, but the farm prior. There was no gardens at this place, and so I put in a bunch of gardens, and one was specifically a rose garden. And yeah, so these photos are of my roses. They were second year in, and they were flourishing. They were huge with these ginormous beautiful white blooms. They were just gorgeous, and it was a really pretty little garden. There was a little bird bath and lots of lavender and rosemary growing in it. Yeah, so I'm kind of documenting my my little rose garden, I guess. So yeah, so I've trimmed down my photos. They're about 3 by 4, probably a bit smaller. I've printed 2 to 1 6 by 4 photo on my Canon selfie, and I'm just going to go ahead and start making some envelopes. So I kind of used a guide to make an envelope the size that it would be, that it like big enough to house the photo, if that makes sense. And I totally just glued that envelope together the wrong way. That underside, the bit that I glued in, they should have been on top, but never mind, it doesn't really bother me. So I skipped ahead and made a few more. Some of these are actually smaller than the guide sizes go on the punch board, but you can, if you can really kind of wing it with them and end up with some envelopes. I did make a really tiny one, but I didn't like the way it looked, so that got put to the side. So I did contemplate for a minute that black and white striped paper. I thought that these patterns would look really striking on it, but I didn't quite like it. It was kind of taken away from all the colours that were in the envelope, so I just opted for a bit of a white cardstock background, and I'm just fussing around trying to decide on a design for them. So just shuffling them around. I've got 5 envelopes, so it's a nice odd number. And those 2 larger ones are going to house my photo and a few embellishments, and then the rest, the idea is to have embellishments and stuff kind of spouting out of them. Now there's a lot of lovely sentiments in this kit that will go really well with my photos and the story that I'm trying to tell, so that's why I thought it'd be a good idea to document these photos finally. Okay, so mucking around, I finally eventually settled on this, a nice large kind of cluster of envelopes. So I'm just going to use my ATG on the back of them, just the back, not on the fold of where the envelopes are, and I'm going to adhere them down. I will go ahead and pop a foam square behind each of the tops of the envelopes, just to give a bit of dimension to those envelopes, and that's going to help me to tuck pieces in and around the tops of those envelopes as well. Okay, so now the fun part, the embellishing bit. So this is one of the pull apart sheets from the Pocket Page kit, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull a few bits out. I'm just cutting this frame out. I wanted the frame. That's a good way to layer some things in. I did use my craft knife and ended up using my scissors and cut a few more out as well. The thing I don't like about pull apart die cuts is that you often end up with those little like knobbly paper bits. I don't particularly like them, so I use my scissors to cut them out instead of tearing them out, so I don't end up with those little paper bits sticking out the sides of my die cuts and stuff. It's just a personal preference. Okay, I'm not sure where I went to there, but I'm back. And I'm going to back my photos with some of the pattern papers. I do apologise for the glare on my photos. It's just my lights. I have to scrapbook at night time, so yeah. And if I move the light out of the direction of my layout, I end up with a very dark video, and it's kind of hard to somewhat adjust without it turning out ridiculous. So it is what it is. Some more layers. I think the final layer is going to be this black and white stripe, just for a pop of colour behind those photos. Just trimming them out. and then I can set about adding all my other embellishments onto the page. So a quick little tidy up, and now I can start popping them in place. Just working out direction for them. We've got a little tab. That frame is going to get tucked in underneath that photo to the right. And this little tag, I love the sentiment on it, and I wanted to have it almost hanging off something, and I tried with this photo on the left, but I end up switching it over to the right hand envelope there and sitting it there. And I do later, I'll punch a hole and put a bit of twine through it just to hold it. Another little frame from the die cut pack, and some more and the other ones, those smaller ones, just to kind of start off those clusters that I'm going to start forming in there. And a little sentiment, like I said, there's a bunch of little sentiments that go perfectly with the story I'm trying to tell today. Things like find joy in the everyday moments, or ordinary, or whatever it is, whatever it says. Just things like that. And like the roses, the gardening actually was what brought me joy. It's a really great stress release for me. So is scrapbooking, but it's a way for me to get out in the fresh air and stuff, and especially in times when I'm not working on the farm. And on this farm I wasn't working nearly the amount of hours that I do on this one, because I wasn't a full-time employee. I was just the calf rearer, so I was seasonal. So in autumn I would be full on rearing calves, and then same as in spring I would be rearing calves as well. But there was always a lot of time for me to kind of get out and do stuff, so gardening was something very much for me to fill in my time. And it's funny because I never was a gardener, I've never had a green thumb, but for some reason I managed to have a bit of a knack with roses. I haven't managed to kill them, they haven't managed to die of any pests or diseases. They just absolutely thrive, which is amazing to me. But they do, and I'm like really proud, like I said, of these my little rose garden that I had going on. The new people get to enjoy my hard work now. I haven't done any gardening since we've moved to the new farm, because there's already established gardens, and I guess the farm owner is quite particular about how things are done in her gardens, I guess, so I've kind of left them to her. Plus I haven't really had a lot of time, because this, like I said, this farm is a bit different. We're not just employees, we are working for ourselves. We are contract milking, so that means we are our own bosses. So yeah, we do somewhat have to answer to the farm owner, but it's really just in regards to animal health and equipment, but everything else is kind of our responsibility. So yeah, whole different kettle of fish, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. But we're moving on, and complete change of place and going back to normal everyday living. We are moving 2.5 hours away to Hawke's Bay, where my family are from, where I'm from, and pretty much majority of my family live in Hawke's Bay, so I'm going back to live with them. We'll be living with my parents for a while until we get sorted with jobs and stuff and find a home. So yeah, started for a big new adventure. So I haven't really, well, I have done a lot. I've just pulled a whole lot of die cuts and stickers out, really. I'm just filling the page. I've gone absolutely nuts on this layout. And yeah, just pulled a lot out. Actually, I haven't really added a lot when you think about it. That large piece down the bottom, that giant sticker, it's only really one sticker, but I wasn't really sure how to use them, so I thought I would just pop it. There's one of them on this layout. There's still another 3 left for me to use on other layouts. So I've gone ahead, I've stuck everything down. I didn't make you watch it all. I am going to go through the Amy Tan sticker book here and pull off some of the bunnies. I knew that there were some little grey bunnies, and I like the idea of them kind of hopping around the garden. Well, they do, kind of. You'll often see them on the farm. They're not really bunnies, they're more hares. And they run out in front of you and frighten the life out of you. But that's okay. They go with the vibe. I haven't glued everything down. I don't know why I said I glued everything down. Maybe I thought I had. I'm still kind of finishing off that process a little bit here. Just tucking in some die cuts. I found some die cuts that I had left to the side. I think I'd photographed a layout and had them with it, so I've just pulled them out. I want to bring in a lot of colour and a lot of flowers on this layout. I'm going to pull off some of those white clear stickers from the Amy 10 book. I love the leaves and stuff in the sticker book. It's really fun. A little gold one as well, just to bring a pop of gold, because I popped a gold sentiment on that other photo at the top left. And I'm adding a few more little gold clear sticker leaves, just tucked in around all those little clusters I've got going on. They probably can't really technically call them clusters, though, can you? The whole thing is one giant cluster. But that's okay with me. I had fun making this layout. Just going crazy with all the embellishments and stuff. And do you know what? I still have so much paper and so many embellishments left in this kit. It is crazy. It was so packed full this month. I mean, they always are, but this month was just amazing. So I've been completely spoilt for choice to what to use on a layout. So I really didn't limit my options for this layout. Okay, so now I'm going to glue everything down. I'm doing my usual thing. I start from the bottom, work my way up. It's just a little bit easier for me. And like I said, I don't make you watch it all. I'm just going to adhere this little tag in. So I've put a little hole in that envelope. I want the tag to be able to move a little bit, like it would on an actual little present or something like that. And then I've just enlarged in that hole that is on the tag so that I can thread the twine through. I've tied a little bow. And looking at it once it was finished, it was a bit kind of too centralized. I wanted something to kind of ground it on the outside, if that made sense. So I'm just going to cut off, I think it's a 1/2 inch. I end up cutting off 2 sides, but I'm just trying to make it a little bit more centered on that white cardstock. So I've strategically cut around the white cardstock. So there we go. We've got I think maybe a 1/4 inch was left around of pattern paper around that white cardstock layout. So I'm just going to gut that paper. It's too pretty to waste. And I'm going to use my ATG tape. And I didn't, for some reason I've got a really sticky roll this time, because normally when I sit things on it, it doesn't stick immediately, but you can see here it kind of did, and I was ripping the paper and I thought, oh, I'm just going to have to live with it a little bit wonky down there. Yeah. I'm back to that sticker book now. I'm going to pull off some of the little flowers and tuck them around the layout. Some more other ones. I'm going to add adhesive foam on this one. I just want some more layers, and to kind of cover up those really large flowers that I've got going on. They're a bit kind of in your face, so by adding layers on top of them, it's breaking them up a little bit. And like I said, I'm bringing out all of those little flowers. I'm just going to scatter them around the page for a bunch of colour. I'm just popping a little bit of glue under that piece that wasn't quite aligned properly. And some of them are going flat onto the layout, some of them are getting popped up on some adhesive foam, just for interest on the layout. So I'm having to cut my foam squares super small. That's okay. Just tucking them around the place. Another one on some foam, and another little one up there. Okay, I felt like it needed something more, so I went back to my kit box and I found my stickles. I had completely forgotten about this, and I've not used it on any layouts, and I thought, well, I'll give this a go. So I went ahead with the stickles and I popped it in the centre of each of the flowers, and I really liked it. So then I went ahead and went a little bit nuts with the stickles dots around the page, and brought in also some of those enamel dots. But you know what? I think that those stickles really made the layout. The little sparkly little tiny little dots around that white cardstock, I think really made it. I'm really happy with it now that I put them on and the enamel dots. They just add a whole lot of whimsy to it. So okay, so I'm just finishing off with some enamel dots, and that's it for my layout. So I hope you enjoyed the process. Don't forget, if you want to get your hands on the kits or check out the shop, the link is in the description box below. But until next time, bye guys.